Can you confirm that we're going to be like on the Ruida ship for a good while and playing nice with Lightburn?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
good.
Yeah, we are.
Good.
It's funny that the moment we forged that alliance with Aeon China, Jason from Lightburn was actually present for that. It was just this harmonious thing. I was actually pitching Aeon like in a Las Vegas casino. We were sitting at the restaurant, and I was with Jason, and it ended up being really funny because I couldn't get my computer to work or something. I had this whole pitch deck, and Jason's like, "Oh, well, here, just use my computer." And like halfway through this pitch, Jason's like jumping in with me.
Hey guys, what's up, and welcome to the Laser Source Podcast, the #1 podcast. If you're looking to grow or scale your laser business, we have the ultimate guest here with us today. It's Danny Martinez, president of Aeon Laser USA. Danny, thank you so much for coming on the show and hanging out with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's an honor, really, and I've been chatting with boys, and I just kind of put it all together, and he just recently joined the Aeon family, and it's kind of nice.
I like it. That's great. And we've got Boyce and Kyle here, of course, hanging out with us as usual. What's up, guys? How you doing?
Hey. How's it going?
So, there's just like 80 million questions immediately come to mind. There's so many things that I want to ask you, but first I kind of want to ask you, you don't come off as like, oh, I'm not Mr. President of like a big fancy company, you just kind of seem like a normal guy to me from all the interactions that we've had in the past and up into and including this one. You just kind of seem like a guy. How did you end up doing this job? Are you surprised that you're the president of Aeon Laser?
Well, gosh, I appreciate that. I'm not one for, personas, I just,
Sure.
And let me tell you, owning a laser company is a very humbling experience. So,
Yeah.
You may start it off, wanting to be a certain way, but it'll quickly remind you that, you're just a big part, or a small part of a bigger picture. So
Yeah.
the bigger the company's grown, the more I've realized it's like, oh yeah, I'm kind of, it might be like the maestro, right? But it's nothing without the actual orchestra and the instruments and all that. So
Right.
it's but yeah, it's a crazy road. I mean, it's I don't think I've always been like the nonconformist. So even just in high school, it was hard to keep me in class. I think I started my first business in like my junior year.
For sure.
But I've always been a difficult person to just, conform to like, the normal path of like school and get a good job and all that. And I tried all those things.
Yeah.
And I just, I was always just trying to, create my own path. And I think that's kind of, here we are, I don't know, gosh, almost 20 something years later since then. And, it's just kind of grown into this.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So you're a founding member?
Well, yes, correct. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So where did it come from? Are we like out of a garage or like what happened? I'm really curious about some of the backstory there.
Out of a duplex.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a fine duplex.
Mm-hmm.
It was right across the street from the ocean, which was really really nice. But it was me and a friend of mine who was a coworker at the time, Stephen McLaughlin. We both started the company up back in 2008.
Wow.
And we were just working together. We were working for a local company that offered engraving services, so we were exposed to all the machinery.
Mm-hmm.
Everything from printers and vinyl cutters to rotary engravers and lasers. And we just got this golden opportunity to branch off and do it on our own. Mm-hmm. And so, we basically had $200 each to invest in starting this company up.
Right.
And we were both unemployed at the time. So it was like a make or break thing. And it was amazing. We put that money into like Google ads. I think I just finished reading AdWords for Dummies.
Right.
So I read AdWords for Dummies. We got the $400, and it started a snowball.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
And Steven, it wasn't a partnership that lasted a long time, because at the time of him being unemployed, he was looking for work, and one of the things he applied to be was an air marshal, and they actually chose him to be one, which is kind of like an honor, I should say. So like we're like, I think 3 or 4 months into this business, and he's like, hey, I'm going to go do this.
Right.
So he sold me his half of the company, and then from there it just I just grew it on my own, and eventually just it got to this point. We started hiring a bunch of people.
Yeah, I want to get something out of the way really early in this interview, because something that I see thrown around a lot is that Aeon is just one of those companies where they just buy Chinese machines, they fix a couple small things, and they resell them. Where counter that for me?
Sure. That's great. Well, in the beginning, before lasers, what we would do is we were basically resellers. That model was how I started. Fortunately, lived in a duplex, not a lot of space to do stuff.
Yeah.
And the big company we're working with was Roland, and it was a Japanese company. It was great. They had such a good quality product. I never touched any of it. So we sold thousands of these machines, and they were just drop shipped straight to the customer, and it was absolutely no problem. But intro to Chinese lasers, and before I even got to Aeon, I went through a bunch of other different ones. And that's where I learned my lessons the hard way of how to actually you get one off of Alibaba or whatever on eBay, and it's like now you got to tinker away and try to figure out how to make it work, and drive yourself absolutely mad with alignments and whatever else. You got
a story we all know very well.
Yeah, if you know to write a passage, and even at one point, the only person that could help you in this world was Russ Sadler from England, Sarbar Media. He's the one that was like figuring out Chinese lasers and arty works and actually putting it up on YouTube.
Right.
So there was a point where I actually invited him to come to Florida, and I flew him in. He spent 2 weeks with me.
Wow.
And this is a guy that was like 150 episodes into his journey with a Chinese laser.
Yeah.
And we're here hacking out in my kitchen, still learning stuff about him. So long story short, it doesn't matter how long you've been around these machines, there's always a million things that you wish were different or that you could do better. And knowing all of this, to me, it was a no-brainer. I was like, one, I'm one of these people that's super just meticulous. Like, you would have to pull me away from a laser in the early days, because I was like, it's got to ship, and I was like, I can get it better, and they were like just trying to yank me out of this thing. So and two, just from an experience standpoint, I didn't feel like coming from selling a Japanese product to selling a Chinese one, I have this high standard, and I wanted to create that for our customers. So that's kind of where all of this started, and the reason why we spend so much time on the machines, because we're not only checking it for just minor things like any kind of damage that might happen on the long journey over here, but we're also doing improvements to it and doing some of those things that I told you that you wish you had in a laser, the things that you had to add on your own, and we're just kind of putting that all in. So somebody opens one up and they have no idea. They might think, oh yeah, this is just how they come. Right. But there's a good 7 to 8 man hours into each machine before they actually leave here.
Right. And so I'm just kind of piecing things together as we go along here, so forgive me, but like all of the shirts say Aeon Laser USA. Does Aeon Laser exist outside of that context?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
absolutely.
Can you explain that to me a little bit?
Well, Aeon Laser is the actual company is in China. So Aeon Laser China, they are the manufacturers and they are the founders of the company.
Right.
And they've got their distributors in different countries. So having the background I had and having worked with Roland and all these other laser companies, there came a point where I stumbled across Aeon, because I was back to the drawing board trying to find a better laser to sell.
Right.
And that's where, the partnership began. They were still relatively new. So they were already starting to sell in the US, but they really didn't have any foundation or anyone that was going to, take it as seriously as we are. So,
right.
That's how we started that partnership. So they exist on their own. These machines were designed, and the vision. Mr. Wen, he's the he's the visionary over at Aeon Laser. He's the guy that's super passionate and was the one that created that all-in-one system that you don't see anywhere else in China, and that
right.
Just every time I've ever met him, the guy doesn't speak any English, but what he'll do is he'll look up like pictures of like 3D models and stuff that he's working on. He'll just show it to me on his phone and like point at them, like, check out what I'm working on, and like,
yeah,
I've never really met anybody like that.
That's awesome.
Especially, over in China, but they're their own thing. And, we are just basically their US representatives.
So it's kind of like Nintendo of America, right? You've got like Nintendo in Japan, and then we've got Nintendo of America over here.
Yeah, right. No, you're taking it way back. Yeah.
And so like if a machine comes in and like you guys have an idea about how they could be improved, are they open to feedback about that kind of stuff? Do you guys get any say in the design process if you notice something? Because your guys are in these things all day preparing them to go out to customers that you're getting feedback from. Are they reaching out to you and like asking for your input in that process?
All the time. I have two jobs. One is during the day here in the US, and the other one's at night, working with these guys in China.
Yeah.
So the minute we're done here, I'm on Skype, I'm talking to the guys over there, and it's always, that's what I love about it, is we do have that closed loop system. So they send us the machine, we work on it, we send it to the customers tell us what they like, don't like, what they want to see, and we send it back to the factory. And they're constantly, to a fault, improving the machines. There's a point where I'm like, guys, can we just slow down a little bit? This one works. And like, no, we got a whole new thing we want to do, and I'm like, no,
right.
Just take it easy.
So how many like revisions do you go through in a time period? Like, did Boyce get a different laser I got, or is it a little more spread out than that?
No, it's more spread out than that. In the beginning, we were seeing stuff come rapidly, but yeah, now it's just, every now and then we'll see an improvement come in where it's like, oh, they added a sensor here, or, this is neat. They've just, whatever, just started doing like double powder coating, and it's much thicker now. And just, they're always just, there's always some little thing that they're looking to improve on, but it's not radically different. I saw an Aeon today that was in our shop. And gosh, it was one of the very first ones we sold, and you wouldn't be able to tell.
Right. So, I mean, we've kind of established, like, you guys have a strong relationship with Aeon Laser in China, like a very, very strong, close-knit relationship. So you're not just buying pallets of lasers from, like, some white label company and slapping a sticker on them and sending them out the door. So tell me more about what you guys do on a daily basis. What do your operations look like? How many people do you employ? And what are they doing?
Gosh. All right. Yeah, that's a loaded question. Well, we're up to a team of 40 people now. And
awesome.
It's everywhere from, technicians to warehouse, small pack, tech support, marketing and sales. We've got all the departments there.
Mm-hmm.
But where the main activity happens,
that's saying like, something too, right? When you started in a duplex, like now you get to say, like, I've got all the departments. I've achieved that. That's an achievement unlocked, man.
Yeah, no, and sometimes you wonder if the achievement was the duplex. I just put that out there because there's the simplicity of things too that was really nice. But it truly is amazing, and I love working with a big team. But yeah, I would say machine wise, they come in and the first thing we do is we get to work and we open them up. And at that moment, there's a full just visual inspection going on. So we're looking for cosmetic damage. these containers, I mean, they encounter rough seas sometimes. I don't think people realize that. They, in their head, they might think like, oh, they just float across the ocean. It's like, well, the open sea gets pretty wild. In fact, it's like, I think there's a couple thousand containers that actually fall off of ships into the ocean every year. So your laser is on that wild ride, whether you know it or not. And when it gets here, it could, sometimes we've opened them up and the lid might be cracked or whatever, something's jarred and you're like, man, what happened in that boat? You see all the machines just shifted to one side of the container.
Totally.
So, we do all the cosmetic stuff, first. And then one of the things that we do is we go through and we start to wire them up. And this is something that, it was born in a funny way, because there was a time, early COVID days, where the factory, had to shut down, and it was coincidentally around this time that we experienced our big boom. So there was a time where I was like saying like, hey, just send them. Like, we know how to build a laser. Just send them over here. We'll put them together. I know it's going to cost us an arm and a leg to do it. And we acted pretty quick. We started making our own wiring harness, to be able to just do that. So. There was a time where the factory was sending us the machines and we were doing more than half of the assembly here. And it was just, trying to get over that hump of everyone wants one, but, our supply chain is down. Yeah. But eventually, I mean, we got that down to like, around our third or fourth revision, we had this beautiful wiring loom. And it was all handmade. And we got to pick all the wiring for it. So we knew it was good quality stuff. We had all the machines to do all the right crimping and get all the right gauges in there. And then we went a step further and we made everything with quick disconnects, because there was still, that question like, well, what if someone's motor dies? Or, all these things that are hardwired into the machine, what's someone going to do? Like, yeah. So we started putting connections on everything. So everything's just easy to service. And so that's one of the things that we still do. So we just never got away with it. We got comfortable with it. We can do it really quickly. Yeah. And we've had zero electrical issues since we started doing this. Like, there's been nothing that we can say, like, because I think that's one of the hardest things that I experienced in the early days, to trace back when somebody was having a problem and it was electrical related. And it's like, okay, pull that panel off the side and you see like 500 wires in there, and they're all, there's only 3 different colors. So it's like, you've got to kind of trace them, and you gotta ask people, can you do a continuity test? Do you have a meter to do that with? So this really gave us a real opportunity to make it so that, we had less quality issues. And then if there was a component that died, I could just send it to you and I'd say, hey, you see that those 2 orange clips, just unclip them. There come out the wires, put the new ones in, clip them back down. And, there's your new fan, there's your new motor. So that's just the wiring phase. So once they leave wiring, it goes into testing, and testing is where we actually, fire them up. So we get to see how good the alignment was done in the factory. The laser tubes, that kind of stuff. I mean, all this is stuff that they test, before they send it to us. But, like we said, there's occasions where you have to make adjustments because it's gone a long way. And, you've sat there and fine-tuned the mirror, right? Imagine doing that and then putting your laser on a roller coaster for... Yeah. So it's one of those things where, we just want to make sure that everything is just tip-top. And with alignment as well, you can get it good, and then you can get it perfect. Right. And like, to get it perfect, you need to spend those extra like hours with it, because you're like, man, I just want to come right down the center of that mirror or that lens. And that's what we do, because essentially we could turn every machine around without even looking at it, and nobody would know the difference. And that's the hard part about what we do, because we know that unless you've lived, in our world where you've had to start from scratch and find all these little things, you might just turn it on and think, hey, it's aligned, it's on, it works. Oh man, I got a perfect laser. And you don't know what's lurking in the shadows, or what ground connection is loose, or the littlest thing that just got overlooked. So it's thorough. We come through it all, we test it, and that changes hands. So one person wires it, it changes hands to a person who tests it and does the alignment and gets through all that. That's where we install all the other little goodies that we like to do. And then from there, it goes to a quality assurance manager. So there's a third person now that reviews the entire scope of work of those two people. And everyone's kind of grading each other as they go, which is really neat. So it creates a lot of accountability.
Right.
And then once it gets signed off, it's a matter of getting it wiped up and cleaned and packaged, and the guys crate it, and off it goes.
Cool.
But it's a thorough process, and it's kind of nice to see. On our new place, we have 42 workstations. So there's actually 42 lasers open across a giant floor of like half our building is dedicated to this, which is about 11,000 square feet.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's just like this giant grid. It looks like a giant, chessboard of
laser heaven.
It's pretty awesome. It's pretty neat. And we've got a pretty good system going on now where it's like, we can fill a whole truck up every day. So it's, but yeah, I'd say it definitely is a work of art, I should say. By the time it leaves here, like, it's something that, we're really proud of.
Are you guys, so what is like the lead time on one of these right now? Where are we at timetable wise? If I was going to like order a Mira 9 today, about how long are we looking at?
We're in December right now.
You're in December, so that's better. Yeah, that's
what?
Good. That's good. Yeah, I know. Voice is mad.
Oh, that hurts.
Yeah.
I'm happy for people, but I fought it at a really rough time with COVID too. So
we're in December, assuming that the planet doesn't shut down on us.
Right,
that's always the variable. This happened twice.
So like supply chain things have been doing better. You've noticed like things kind of turning around as far as that goes.
On our end, yes. And here's one of those things that what doesn't break you makes you stronger, kind of thing. So going through all those trials and tribulations, the factory really wisened up, and they have multiple sources of supplies that they can go to if one goes down.
Yeah.
And they've scaled up as well. So it's funny because we had that boom. They had to move factories, then we had to move our facility. Now they have to move factories again. So, but just those two little upgrades, them moving to their bigger factory and us moving to our bigger place, that helped us like catch up big time with our backlog. So
that's awesome.
We're cranking them out.
I was going to say this real quick, guys. Olivia here is in Detroit, Michigan area. She just bought her Mira 9. So hopefully she gets it by the new year. That'd be really cool. And not have to wait.
Awesome.
That's awesome. That's a significant turnaround time.
I really like this too. Can we throw that back up for a second, boys?
Yeah.
I just want to leave off that Olivia says so much more excited to see the passion behind the product and your dream, which is great. That's why I wanted to have you on. Because I've heard from everybody that you are just like chill and lively, and you really care about what you do. It really comes across when we're talking to you. So it's awesome that you've got like customers here watching today. I think that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
No, it's a blessing. It really is. I mean, I'm this way because it's just I'm living in a fantasy world. It's I've never been in a position where I've affected people's lives in the way that we have. Like, let's put lasers aside, because every time we really start looking at who our customers are and like where they came from and where they are because of a laser, like that's the true payoff, for us. And so that's kind of made it really easy.
Yeah, we definitely know how that feels over here at Laser Everything too. So we see that same thing, and it's I can tell you, man, it's life changing for sure. It definitely gives you a new perspective.
Yep, it's huge. It's huge, especially because I was my whole life trying to be an entrepreneur. It was rough, doing that without technology, and the internet. It's like. My original business models, they didn't have any of that. And to watch somebody be like, hey, I'm going to start a business. And within 2 to 3 months, say like, oh yeah, I'm already like in the black, like I'm making money. And you're just like, how? When I went to small business school, the norm was you're going to lose money for 3 years. Right. That was the investment. And you had to be ready for that. And they prepared, that was the SBA was telling you. Get ready, you're going to lose money for 3 years, and then when are you going to turn a profit eventually? And this is just absurd to me. It's like, yeah, I'm working from home. Oh, I'm also raising a family. Oh, yeah, and my business is profitable. It's been 3 months. This is great. I can't wait to see what happens next. And you're just like, it really is a cool thing to be a part of. I don't think there's a whole lot of business models, or any for that matter, that are like this. Like, I think this is mind blowing to me. So yeah, it's I love my customers, and they reciprocate it, and it's nice, man. It does keep me humble, and I do love to see them succeed, and that's kind of why we keep doing what we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, one of your favorite customers is watching right now. It's Emily over at That Mom with a Laser. She was stoked to be on. There she is. She was stoked to be on with us last week. It was last week, right, guys?
Yep, last Tuesday.
Yeah, last week, man. And she's such a hoot, man. And she's had an infinite number of good things to say about Aeon, obviously, and it really comes from the heart. You picked a good person to do her job, man, because she does not come off as an ad. She's very much like genuinely stoked on this product, and it's just been a blast interacting with her about the brand. Is she the only one who does her job
as brand ambassador? There can be no other.
Oh, nice.
There can only be one.
There can only be one. Yeah.
Well, and I really take every opportunity I can to just shine some light her way, because I really didn't pick her. Emily, came to us. Yeah, she no idea about lasers. I was the one that did the demo for her. This was in the early days. She's got 2 kids waiting in the car with her husband outside, and she's wearing her 3rd kid that was just born, so she's wearing a baby, looking at lasers and this and that. And, we're just, she's just going like, wow, like, why don't more people know about this?
Yeah.
And, it was her, that she's the one that had the drive and the passion. So, she was the one that it was responsible for that really big boom for us, because we were here doing all the foundational stuff, and we're, real technical guys. And all it took was Emily coming over and turning a camera on one day and be like, hey, I'm at Aeon, look at them working on lasers. And before you knew it, it's like everyone wanted one. So she created that role, from the start. And it just took us some time to realize and be like, oh, hey, I think you're like our brand ambassador. So, let's make it official and make sure that the biggest thing was that we don't interfere with what you're already doing. So we drew a really hard line there. It was never something we even discussed. I was like, look, your thing, your brand, That Mom with a Laser, like we want nothing more than for you to continue doing that, and just, keep being the face of our company, because you've been doing it all these years. Let's just make it official now. And that was really all we did at the end, was just kind of do that little tweak and put that plaque on our desk that said brand ambassador. And
I think that's where a lot of the authenticity comes from when you're watching her content too, which is why I really enjoy it, because nothing did really change her videos before and after. I don't even think that she made a big fuss about it, honestly. I'm pretty sure that like it just happened one day and it just kind of like quietly went by and nobody really noticed. I think I did like a little digging when I was researching for the podcast before I even realized that she held an official position at the company. And that's great, because that felt authentic. That felt real. The fact that you never even noticed, the content didn't change, the tone of her enthusiasm behind the product didn't change. And I that's just like that was really special to me. It was a good pick, man. You guys are both killing it on that. And it shows, because people are more stoked about these machines than they ever have been before, and for good reason. I mean, we just did our review on the Mira 9, man. I mean, the thing is like just pristine, they're such good machines. And I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I would like to pull up an old clip. I wish I had that old clip ready of Alex saying it's just sexy.
Yeah, it is. It's
just
true.
A sexy machine.
They are. They're like the pretty girls at the party,
But not just pretty, right? Because it's like,
oh yeah, they were.
Oh, dude, those hybrid steppers are just like ripping. People still ask me every day, almost every day. That's a little bit of an exaggeration, but all the time, like, so this is time lapsed, right? Like,
we get that a lot.
I'm like, no, dude, that's real time. Like,
moving.
I feel like I need to do have you guys seen the thing on TikTok where the guy will like push a sandbag so that it's moving back and forth, like swinging, so that you can tell that the karate he's doing is in real time? Like, I feel like I need to do something like that for the hybrid steppers to like prove that it's not time lapsed. Because they're extremely capable. They're extremely capable. I want like a supernova now. That's like my next thing on my target list. I'm gonna bring home a supernova eventually because I like RF tubes. I want to play with an RF tube, but you know, it's so easy to just like go on the Aeon website too, and I'll just like scroll through pictures for like an hour. I'll just like look at them and drool a little bit and kind of get lost in it.
Well, speaking of their website, okay, guys, I'm gonna bring up a share screen here for everybody.
Please.
Let me bring that up so you guys can see what we want to share that Danny has coming up.
While Voice is pulling that up, you had mentioned, you know, hybrid steppers. We are not using hybrid steppers in the Miras.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So all of that punch you're getting there is really just from spending some time engineering the actual motion controls with regular stepper motors.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, the hybrids are something that you'll see in the Supernova, and you know, soon we'll be rolling them out in other things. But yeah, I can't wait until we get into that. But that's just the one variable we haven't.
That makes it even more incredible, though. That's all the more impressive. A lot of it, you guys have like really engineered that laser head to be just as light and nimble as possible too. I'm sure that has a lot to do with it. Yeah, it's just so fast, man. It's so wicked fast.
We're in the pulleys and belts. I mean, we really nerd out on this stuff. So there's so much more room. But right now we're at the limit of what a glass tube will do. You know.
I mean, I'm even just impressed that the thing has freaking like LEDs in it when it shows up. You know, the first thing I did with my OhmTech was buy a strip of LEDs, like tacky LEDs, and like strip out the inside of my thing. So I mean, like little stuff like that. Just like you were saying earlier, all those small details where you may or may not notice if somebody had thought about it, like when they all come together, the final product is like really just polished, you know.
Well, then I have a question then about the whole suggesting for changes, right? So I'm a new customer, so everyone with a laser now with the Mira asks about getting air assist. So is that something you guys' plan to save us, the customers, a step of buying a air compressor to assist with the air assist?
That's a good one. So one of the themes that you'll notice with all the machines, obviously, is that everything's all in one. Now, the difficult part with a Mira is where you're going to put an air tank because it's already pretty tight. So that's been one of those things where it's like, well, you know, if we were to do it, you know, you build it into the stand because you still need to have a place to store the air, and that's not something you could really make really tiny. A gallon tank is still pretty big.
Well,
sizable.
But we don't need 150 psi. We need like 15. So like it could be scaled down to a point where it, you know, shouldn't take up too much space. But I don't know enough. I'm not an engineer either. I do physical therapy, so.
No, it's not so much the pressure you're generated, but you know, you're still releasing it out of your tank at 15. So you need an ample storage. Otherwise, you know, the pump will never, you know, really shut down. But you are right. You don't need as big a compressor if you don't need that much. But you still want to be able to fill a tank quickly. And, you know, it's still pouring out of there pretty quick.
I can imagine that the air compressor sitting on the floor next to the machine sounds much nicer than in the machine shaking the thing while you're trying to do an engraving.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
If you do it right, it won't do that. And, you know, you're going to see very soon that option be available on the Novas. And that's something we've been playing around with here. The Novas do have the space for it. And we've got a pretty nice functioning prototype now, and we're just trying to add a couple little extra goodies in there so that you do less maintenance on it as well. Nice. Especially, you know, where I'm in Florida, it's just like, you know, you run your air compressor for a day and it fills up with water. You know, so those are the little things that, you know, we're just kind of finalizing. But yes, the answer is essentially, making an all-in-one unit is something we continually, try to strive for over here.
I'm still really impressed by the blower design. I love that exhaust blower in there. It's so cool. Every time you fire it up, like I have the squishy pipe, for extraction, and it just like turns into a rock the second you turn that blower on. It's so cool. Like I still love just watching it like fill up because it's and it gets it's just like super cool. And I don't know how you guys jammed that CFM capability into such a small space because it's so small, but it works so well. It's really, really good.
It's a centrifugal fan, and that's the difference. So you see a lot of people using inline fans or axial fans, like the kind that are hanging from your ceiling, which are good for circulating air.
Right.
But to build the pressure you need to be able to do, what that machine is doing for you, you need one of those cage style fans.
Right.
So that's the only way you can really maintain CFM, because it's so easy to just stifle the airflow on an axial fan. It doesn't take much.
Right.
And it's one of those things where, and this is something a lot of people miss. You're worried about wattage and the size. You never really are going to get to know how well your laser works until you start dissecting how well it can evacuate smoke. Because that smoke lingering in your cabinet, it just kills your power.
Right.
And other things too, right? It creates extra work for you because now you're trying to clean your material. Now you got to do more maintenance because you're getting whatever soot on places it shouldn't be. So the minute you pull all of that smoke out of the way, that laser just has that a clean path to do what it's got to do.
Yeah.
And I remember on a number of lasers just playing around with it and hanging pieces of notebook paper that we shredded from like the top to see how it affects how the wind is working inside of the of the cabinet. And it's a really big part of the performance that, one, it's overlooked, and two, it's really underdeveloped, especially with Chinese lasers.
Right.
A lot of Chinese lasers, you'll notice that they just plug a hose into the back and you're like, that should do it, and
yeah.
And it
you have like a 3-blade fan sticking out of the back of it.
It works, and they'll give you an axial fan. It still works. But when you want to optimize and you're really going for it, you look at the high-end machines. If you ever see a Trotec or an Epilogue work, or these machines, you'll never see smoke swirling around in them. You'll see a nice bed of smoke just going front to back on them. And anyway, I could go on and on, but that's why you see that fan do what it does.
You actually set up a nice segue for me, because I wanted to talk about Epilogue and Trotec a little bit. So we don't really cover them on the channel, and the main reason why is because they use proprietary controllers and proprietary software, and I always call Thunder and mostly Aeon the highest end Ruida controlled machine you can buy. That's kind of like my classification for it before you step into the proprietary world of like the hyper high end machines. That is not changing anytime soon, right? Can you confirm that we're going to be like on the Ruida ship for a good while and playing nice with Lightburn?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
good.
Yeah, we are.
Good.
It's funny that the moment we forged that alliance with Aeon China, Jason from Lightburn was actually present for that. It was just this harmonious thing. I was actually pitching Aeon like in a Las Vegas casino. We were sitting at the restaurant, and I was with Jason, and it ended up being really funny because I couldn't get my computer to work or something. I had this whole pitch deck, and Jason's like, "Oh, well, here, just use my computer." And like halfway through this pitch, Jason's like jumping in with me, like I'm asking them for exclusivity, and Jason's like, "You see, it's kind of like what you guys are asking me to do." So
Yeah,
he was really instrumental in making all that work. So
wow.
We're definitely never going to stray from that. We're Lightburn all day long.
Cool.
And we are working really closely with Rita. Aeon China is, so you see all of the new panels coming out. If you see the new panels in the Nova and all that stuff, those were all designed by Aeon. and working with Ruida, we developed our own panels.
Wow.
So it's really nice. The new ones are spectacular, and one day we'll probably end up rolling those out into the mirrors as well.
Yeah, that's really cool to hear, and I'm very happy to hear it. Not that there's anything wrong with Epilogues or Trotex. There are many people that watch the show that have those machines. I just don't want to teach 50 different separate proprietary softwares on the channel. So I myself personally am a big fan of Lightburn and Ruida. So I'm glad to hear that that's going to be sticking around, because my fear in the back of my mind is that Aeon will just get like bigger and better and better and better, and then all of a sudden it's going to be like, oh nope, we're going proprietary, and that would be like a nightmare scenario for me. So glad to hear it.
Better software, in my opinion. There isn't. And these companies, that are using their own proprietary stuff, they still want you to use Corel or Illustrator. I mean, they're providing you with the CAM portion.
Yeah.
Basically like the layers and the laser window and Lightburn. Like, that's what they make. But the design part, to my knowledge, I don't know if it's changed or not. I haven't had time to look over my shoulder, but
it's been a few years for me too.
It's been, it comes with Corel, or and these great software, but it's not made for lasers, and it's certainly not made by someone that knows lasers.
Yeah.
So when you get, when you use those softwares and you jump into something like Lightburn, and you're just like, oh man, this is amazing. Thank you, because this is the exact mindset that someone has when they're designing for a laser, and it's already in there.
Yeah, I mean, when I was at the Awards and Personalization Expo last year, it was last February, I was in Vegas, and I was at the APA Expo, and they had a laser there. I don't even remember the name of the company anymore. I'd never heard of them before, and I haven't seen them since. But they had a giant full-sized like CO2 laser cutter, and it ran on the Windows print driver. I was like, how does this work? Like, I don't understand how you get any kind of usable result from this at all, let alone, and you just made me think of that, because like there are some like super high-end lasers where it's like, okay, you design your file in CorelDRAW and then you print, and it's like, what? So that's just, I don't know. The whole thing is bizarre to me. I don't like it. I know Lightburn really well, and I like Lightburn. I agree. I think it's the best software. We're very excited over here because we have Lightburn for Galvo now, which, another great segue. Where are you guys at on the Galvo lasers?
There it is.
That's my thing, man. I have to ask.
Right now, it's something that's not even on the radar.
Bummer.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've seen Galvo technology, just grow like immensely in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And literally, it looks to me like it's really becoming a race to the bottom. It's who can provide the smallest, cheapest Galvo laser. I'm talking fiber here, not CO2, but we can get into that later. But fiber, and specifically, that realm is just going into, what is it going to be? A Rakis, a JPT, or a China Max?
Right.
And then, where are you going to get your Galvo head from? You got Sino and, a couple other brands that make them. And it's like, there's less places to get the kit from, and they'll drop ship to you from the factory. And then, what do? You plug it in, you plug it in the Lightburn, and bam, you're up and running. So I think that's something that we really looked at it strongly. And before Aeon, we used to sell a ton of fiber and Galvos and all kinds of marking equipment. So that's still something we work in. Mm-hmm. But Aeon as a company, they're not looking at creating or recreating something that already exists. Like, so they have that innovative mindset. So they're like, unless they come up with something really, really unique that involves a Galvo laser, I don't expect to see anything from them.
That's a bummer to hear, because I would love the option to buy a laser that has had your team's hands on it. I think that's what makes the Aeon special. I want something that gets off of the ship and your guys touch it before it comes to me. Because that's why, I mean, that's the main thing I like about the Aeons now, is that it's not just some crate that literally got offloaded and handed off to UPS. It's going through a process by people who know what they're doing and care about what they're shipping out. So I'm bummed. I see a couple people in the comments that are like kind of snapping their fingers. But
well, hold on. No, there is one thing that you got to remember. So Aeon is one of our brands.
right,
So EMP Corp and Gray Machines Plus, that's the parent company.
right.
And we still very much use that. All my relationship with ENP are all business to business, and they all involve part marking or something to that effect. So we still provide that type of equipment, but it's just not it's not going to carry the Aeon name. So if you wanted if you wanted to get a Galvo fiber or a CO2 laser, we do the same thing, and we've always done it. The only thing is we've done less of it lately because we've just had our hands full with Aeon, Move, and the Boom. So that's kind of, fallen to the wayside. But it's something we still have a ton of accounts with. And, we still, a day doesn't go by where someone's like, hey, I've got a customer who wants to buy a fiber. And I'm like, all right, it's like, all right, well.
Got to take time and do this. Yeah.
You have to pick your battles. Yeah. But we still treat it the same way. So we would bring it in and we still go through it and make sure. And I will say this, I haven't yet. And we've brought them in from multiple factories. But I've yet to find one where we didn't have to at least do a little something to it. Nothing major that you're going to spend 8 hours on. Yeah. But every now and then you open one up and you're like, oh man, I can't believe they missed this, or that doesn't look like it's on there, right? And so there's always a little something, but fear not. It's just a matter of when we get more bandwidth. But as far as it carrying the Aeon name, that's the part that I'm not certain of. The factory is really innovative, so they know that market is strongly going to factory to consumer.
Right.
And so we may not see it from their end, but I'm certain that at some point or another, we'll hop back in and, we'll start resurrecting a lot of those big business to business, relationships we used to have and start providing that kind of equipment again. And that's kind of why and it's funny, we've overlooked that because we partnered with another company to do all of the big, metal cutters. So, we have that experience and we could hop back in there, but there's something shinier and it's the tune of thousands of watts. Right. So that's kind of like where our attention has gone as far as branching off.
Cool. Yeah, that's cool to hear too, though.
The door's still open, Alex.
Stoked on that.
Too late. Yeah.
No, for sure. I think that's totally 100% absolutely valid, and I wouldn't want anything to get in the way of you guys doing what you're doing so well now. For sure. So, I like you said, especially with the huge popularity boom with the Aeon lasers lately, maybe there will be an opportunity down the road for that bandwidth to increase, and we'll be able to start seeing some other new goodies and things like that. Totally lost my train of thought, though. Yeah, so the great timing, boys. Knock it out.
I was going to say, we have a lot of good questions in the comments, but we have this webinar tomorrow, right? So I want to show you guys the page here. It's in the description box. So here in Aeon, they have this webinar tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern. Or I'm sorry, Thursday. Today's Tuesday. That's right. So on Thursday, 1 p.m. Eastern, you can sign up for the webinar. Can they ask these types of questions in that webinar?
Yeah. So This is basically a continuation of our talk today. We go into this is our Why Us page. So essentially, you can hop in and this is, us talking about why you would buy an Aeon and why you'd want to partner with a company like Aeon Laser USA. And you can ask questions. Yeah, it's going to be Emily and I host it. And you can just sign up right on the website. You have to go to the Why Us page. I think you're on the home page there. So if you go to company and click on Why Us, then you get the there you go, the official
register. Yep.
Where you can register and sign up. So
cool.
I think it's limited to 100 people. We're pretty close at capping that out. So we will host it again the following week, and I think we'll do it more and more often.
Nice.
Perfect.
Very cool.
And then to answer the questions, if people were talking about RF tubes in the comments.
Yes, absolutely. That's the big
one. There's definitely a lot in the works. We're working with several RF tube manufacturers, and we're testing all kinds of goodies. So the innovation does not stop. It is.
Yeah, that's the only thing that I miss from my Epilogue days was the access to those RF2, because the beam out of those things is so nice for marking. You know, it never ever gets old watching those things do their thing. But that's what makes the Supernova so cool, because you have that raw power out of the tube as well for those cutting applications. And obviously that comes with a cost, you know. But I mean, like that old Epilogue from way back in the old days for me, we did some cutting and we did it with an RF tube. So maybe like a lower tier option with an RF tube, man, that would be a sweet pick, and I would really love to see something like that. Not that I invited you on to share my wish list with you in public, just thinking out loud. Look, Danny, we've got about 10 minutes left on the podcast today. I've dumped a ton of questions on you, but I wanted to give you a chance to mention, bring up, plug, do whatever. You know, even just tell people why you love Aeon Laser so much. I mean, just anything you kind of got hanging in your back pocket that you want to break out before we close out here. I wanted to give you an opportunity to do that.
Oh man, wish I would have known. I would have prepared a speech or something.
I know. That's how we do it here on the podcast. We just throw things at people and see if they can catch them.
Oh man, well, I mean, definitely a lot of stuff on the horizon. And you know, our growth, you know, it's been real. We've really scaled up, so you're going to see a lot of new stuff, new products coming out, and of course, you know, one of the nice little gems that we really didn't get to talk about is, you know, we're going to start building stuff here. We're not going to make Aeon lasers in the United States, but you know, these added features like our multi-roller, right? That's something that, you know, we invented from scratch, and you know, we waited for the right moment to release it. We were sitting on that for almost 2 years before we actually brought it out. We wanted to be able to make it, you know, and so that's something that in October we'll start manufacturing and pushing out there. But we've got a lot of other little ideas there that, you know, you should see in the pipeline, and don't miss our grand opening. If you see something that, you know, says like, hey, we're doing, you know, we're going to open the doors up, because there's a lot that we haven't really shared. And I know we've started to trickle into like metal cutting, but we've pretty much got an entire metal fabrication shop in this new building. So there's going to be a slew of projects that are going to start coming to fruition, and they'll start, you know, coming out of that factory with Aeon Laser USA, or, you know, our own seal of approval on there. So if you support us and, you know, you're one of our customers, just know that your hard-earned money is going right back to work for you.
Right.
It's all going back into the company. It's staying here. It's not going to our factory. I mean, we still have a very good relationship with them. So not even half of your money makes it to them. It comes back into our economy. We're really pushing to manufacture stuff and build stuff here, which I know is a big topic, and a lot of people, you know, talk about wanting to do that. Well, we're actually doing it, and it's through the help of everyone that's bought one.
Right.
So, you know, I do keep my lifestyle within my means. It's, you know,
for sure.
I'm not driving Lambos around. I mean, I seriously, you know, I don't even hang paintings on my wall. I just, I do it the bare minimum, and it all goes back in full circle. So, you know, if for whatever reason, you know, there's anything at all that you need, or you feel like, you know, you didn't get, it has been a crazy growth spurt for us.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you feel at all that, you know, there's something missing, or you could have done a better job, just let us know. We're always there to make it right. And, you know, that's something that I want to point out. It's, you know, there comes this moment where if it ever happens and you have the experience of it, this has only happened to me with Aeon, but, you know, you get strapped to a rocket basically, and all planning goes out the window. You go from like the proactive stage to just being reactive.
Yeah, just ragdolling around a little bit.
Yeah, and, you know, it's a hard thing to stomach. You know, it's you know, we've had a lot of people that have, you know, come in to to step into a management level, and they're just like, hey, I can't handle this. This is just a lot. I need structure.
Yeah.
And you know, it's like when you watch a football game and they're down to like the final seconds and they're calling all the plays on the field. Like that's what a life is like, you know, on board, you know, the Aeon rocket ship.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's really starting to, you know, to really settle down, and I'm really starting to appreciate it. But you know, we realize that, you know, with the fast growth, you know, comes a lot of hard lessons. So if for whatever reason you're out there, you've got an Aeon, and you just feel like, you know, you didn't get what you were promised, or the support just wasn't there, or, you know, something isn't sitting well with you, please bring it to my attention. I'm always willing to talk to anybody, and, you know, make myself available for that.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's something we didn't talk about enough either, because Kyle's had negative experiences with customer support. And I think that's what really sets you guys apart, is the customer support and your sales reps.
Yeah.
They know what the hell they're talking about. And if they don't have the answer, they get back to you pretty quickly on any kind of problems you have. So I think that's a big thing that was comfortable for me. That's part of the decision I went with Aeon, was the customer support as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's it. You know, it's all about the support. If we can't figure it out, it's somebody's on a plane and, you know, they're going to your house.
Yeah.
So, that
means a lot.
Yeah. I mean, it really is, you know, it really puts the bar up there, and we really try to solve it. I mean, we make our best effort to do it remotely, but there comes a point where, you know, it's somebody's business you're talking about. And, you know, I can't stress that enough. You know, if you have a laser business and, you know, that laser is down and we have to move quick, you know, you know, I treat it as if it were my own and my business was down. I'd want somebody to take it as seriously, because it unwinds on you real quick. You go from like, oh, I'm slammed, I got a bunch of orders, oh, my laser's down. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I got all these cancellations and refunds. It's the same amount of work. You're just doing it in the opposite direction. It is the most stressful thing to ever go through.
Yeah.
So being a laser owner and having done that myself, I'm the first one to say like, hey, let's just send somebody out there. And it's not something where you've got to, you know, yell at us to do. We obviously want to know why we're going out there first. That always helps. But there you go. Yeah, that's right. We went out to see Kathy, but you know, it helps to show up and know what you're doing.
That's commitment.
That is commitment.
Canada winner, come on.
Aaron, man, I love you, man. Thank you for hanging in there. Aaron's one of those guys that I hope we made good with. But yeah, we sent somebody, you know, over the wall. It's what I call it. I'm just Game of Thrones, you know. Thing.
Yeah, yeah.
The north. Someone to the north, you know, and over to Aaron's house, and you know, I know Aaron and I really had a bumpy road when we started off, but I hope we rekindled that relationship with that little visit. And
hey, he's here.
Yeah, he is here. And you know, the support is, I mean, definitely. Everybody else said it, so I want to say it too. The support is stellar. Even when I got my review unit, like the tube was shattered, and I had one on my doorstep, like 2.5 days later. You know, and Kyle and I were talking just the other day. When we do reviews for machines, we hope something breaks and goes wrong, because it gives us a chance to experience what the support is like. And Aeon's is unmatched to this day. So
that's awesome.
If that's something that's important to you guys, you know, this is the way you want to go. We're just about to hit an hour here. Danny, I have had a blast getting to know you, dude. I'm serious. I got all the little stories, like the you and Jason in Vegas at dinner doing a pitch. That's what I came here for, and I got it, and I'm stoked about it. So, you know, thank you so much. I'm sure you're the busiest freaking guy in the world, dude. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to come on, to talk about your product, to talk about your life and your company. It's been eye-opening and exceptional. So I thank you for it.
You're welcome. No, thanks for having me. Happy to be here and make the time. This is, you know, it's all part of the fun.
And maybe the next time you've got a little carrot to dangle, we can have you back on and you know, get that in front of people.
It probably won't take long. So
Cool. That's what I want to hear. That's what
I think we only
hear.
talked about like half the stuff, right?
Yeah, for sure.
We look forward to hanging out some more.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, seriously, you're welcome back anytime, man. Of course.
That's awesome.
That's great, guys. Thanks, I appreciate
And
it.
Boyce, Kyle, thanks for chilling, man. Appreciate you guys. And thank you to everybody who came out to listen to the podcast tonight. We appreciate your viewership. We appreciate you listening. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, don't forget to rate and review. It goes a long way to help get the podcast in front of more people when you guys leave us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. So please do so. If you guys are watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you get notified the next time we release a new video podcast. And smash the like button if you got value out of hanging out with Danny Martinez, president of Aeon Laser USA today. I definitely appreciate it. I sure do know that he does. And I think that's just about all I got. If you guys love the channel, and I'm looking at chat right now because I'm talking to these live viewers. Most of you guys are already supporters on the Laser Master Academy, the LMA. It's our supporter network. It makes the channel possible. It keeps everything free and open, and pays these guys to be here and be crazy with me. So if you like what we do and you want us to keep doing it, go check it out. silvermasters.lasereverything.net. And that, I think, is the end of that. Danny, one more time, dude, thank you so much for coming on. I can't wait to talk to you again really, really soon.
Sounds good, guys. Thank you.
Have a great night, everybody.
Cheers.